Hello, everyone. I'm Jessica Shaw. I am so thrilled to get to talk to some imperfect women and a guy. So let's bring out this incredible panel of talent, starting with Annie Weisman, the showrunner, executive producer, and creator. Stoll, who plays Howard. Kate Mara, who plays Nancy. Elisabeth Moss, who plays Mary and is also an executive producer. And Kerry Washington, who plays Eleanor and is Hi. First and foremost, congratulations to all of you on this show. I can't wait for everyone to see the rest of it. Lizzie, I want to start with you because you read Araminta Hall's book, and I'm curious, what was it as you were reading it? Were you reading it with an eye toward developing a show? Were you reading it because you're like, I need a good book?
Definitely the latter at first. Yeah, I was at an airport on my way to shoot something in Hawaii, so I was like, oh, I'll need a beach read. And I loved the cover, because I'm very deep like that. And I loved the title, honestly, which ended up being very significant. And then I read it and I was like, oh, this is actually maybe something. And it was I sent it to my producing partner, Lindsay, and she said, yeah, let's buy this. And that was in 2019. So yeah, it was the structure. It was the Eleanor, Nancy, Mary. It was the fact that you wanted to read an entire book about Eleanor, and that was such an interesting character, and then you turn the page and it said Nancy, and I didn't see that coming, and I just was like fascinated with that idea, and then got to Mary and was like, oh, it's so cool. So it was the structure really that I fell in love with.
Was it always Mary in your mind?
Yeah. It was, for sure. Yeah, I knew I wasn't quite right for Nancy, and then I think that there was something about Mary that I really fell in love with on a personal level, I think, as just kind of looking at her as this sort of everyday heroine as a parent. You know, to me, the men and women and caretakers and parents who, you know the right snack for their child and get their kids' laundry done and get everybody out the door on time. Like, those are the true heroes of the world.
Do we have those parents here?
Yeah.
Well, I don't get them out the door on time, but other than that.
Out the door is fine. Yeah. Out the door is fine. Those are everyday acts of heroism, so I truly was attracted to that. And then everything else that I love about her, I can't tell you.
It's a spoiler!
Yes, exactly. No spoilers today. Yeah. Annie, you... Physical, which is a show that I loved about another imperfect woman. So what was it about this show? When did you get involved?
Well, Lizzie and Lindsay sent me the book, and I was really excited to read anything from Lizzie because I'm just a huge fan. And similarly, you know, I had just come off of doing Physical, which was a fantastic experience, but an intense one. And I was excited for the tonal shift of the book, something that felt like it was a fun ride and that, you know, was a little more entertaining. I don't want to say lighter because there are some dark things that happen in this story.
But juicy.
It was juicy and it was entertaining, and I was ready for that. I was also ready to kind of get out of my own head and the voices in my own head, if you know Physical at all. So the chance to work with 3 complex, fascinating female characters at the center of a story and to give each of them their due was like just a thrill, too great to pass up.
Yeah, absolutely. Kerry, you and Lizzie, both executive producers, and I'm curious, did you decide to play Eleanor first, or was it a tandem decision of like, I want to play this character and I want to produce and I have thoughts?
You know me well. That was very much my tone. I do have thoughts, but she has lots of thoughts too. And so Elisabeth Moss reached out to me, and when Elisabeth Moss calls you, you're like, oh wow, so exciting. I've been such a huge fan, and I have so much respect for Elisabeth and the choices that she's made throughout her career and her extraordinary talent. So I was like, oh, I hope the material is as good as she is. And then I read the book, and I read this beautiful deck that she had built out with Lindsay and with you, Annie, and it was like detailing how they wanted to adapt the novel into the show. And I was already cast in the deck in the role of Eleanor, and it felt really right for me. I knew from the moment I read the novel, I knew that I was not Nancy, and I loved that Lizzie wanted to play Mary. I understood it entirely why she was drawn to that character, and I was like, cannot wait. And so it was really, I was so excited to be invited to join as a producer, Simpson Street, my company, joined with Love and Squalor, and then also to get the party started. And then we had to figure out who could be our Nancy.
Yes, so let's talk about your Nancy. Kate, Nancy is like, I mean, she's exists in multiple sort of time zones. I feel like we get to see her past a little bit. I'm curious what it was for you that you latched onto with her, because she has backstory like for days. I mean, there's so much. And what was it about her that drew you in?
Well, I wanted to play her first and foremost because I wanted to act with them, and then I was relieved that the role was as good as they pitched it on our Zoom, and you as well. Yeah, I mean, when I read the book, I was so excited, and so I still am so flattered that they thought of me for the role. I mean, she's like, you know, from the exterior, she's kind of supposed to be this sort of like everything is perfect, and their clothes are perfect, and her house and her husband, and everything. But in reality, she's got a lot of demons and has really escaped this past that is very painful to her. And so that to me was a really exciting role to play.
Corey, we don't get to see Howard very much in this first episode, but we will. We will.
I promise.
So with you, I'm going to be especially careful to not spoil anything because we just get a little glimpse. But even the little glimpse, he's already like, you get to see, I don't know, he's like kind of a tool, and he's like, we don't, I mean, like, you know.
I didn't realize this was going to be such a combative interview.
Like the line, like when he says, like, we don't believe in shielding them from grief. It's like, okay. So tell me about Howard. Like, what was it?
I mean, I love Howard. He's a complicated guy, as you will see as the series goes on. But he was a very smart guy who had an enormous amount of potential, and he's not meeting it. You know, he has a lot to give, and he is trying to sort of be everything to everybody. And he's, oh God, it really is hard to talk about.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking, I was like, how do I ever talk about Howard now?
Well, we talk so much about complex female characters and centering them, and that is so important. But I mean, equally interesting in this story and to us in the writer's room was talking about just male fragility and kind of exploring it, and the kind of sensitivity and vulnerability of having to live up to male expectations too. So the men are also imperfect and interesting.
They
I remember what you said to me when we first talked. You said, well, I've been playing a lot of high status dickheads, so I'm excited to play a low status dickhead. I'm like, that's a pretty good line.
The range. So much range.
I will say,
I loved especially in this first episode how he's even mansplaining feminism.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I think he sort of sees himself as more feminist than any of the women in it.
Women love that, by the way.
I will say, so two things was also in the casting. So we had an extraordinary casting director, Linda Lowy, and in the casting process as EPs, we talked about how often these projects that center men, they get to a point in their development where they're like, well, now we need to make the women more complicated because we want to get some good actors. So we have to make this like enticing, or we'll get sent a script and we're like, I would love to play your wife, but can she do more than just be your wife, right? Like, so with us, it was kind of, the men are very beautifully built out in the novel, but we wanted to make a commitment to build the kind of characters with these men that we could get great actors. And we did it with Joel, with Corey, with Leslie Odom Jr. Like, we wanted to build out not just Imperfect Women, but Imperfect Men so that we could get somebody like Corey's caliber and talent. I will also say that in this show, more than any other show I've ever been a part of, who is a dickhead is so relative. Because when Lizzie talks about the perspective shift, like when you go, you have to understand that sort of the story you're watching in the beginning is Eleanor's point of view. It's Eleanor's perspective. When we shift to Nancy's perspective, you're going to think of Eleanor differently. You're going to think of everybody differently. And so you're going to start to see different sides of characters where you're like, oh, maybe he's not a dickhead, or maybe that wasn't a good choice, or maybe she's the asshole. Like, you start to see things very differently when we change point of view. And we do it twice, because we go to Nancy's and then we go to Mary's.
How was that for all of you with playing, because you play some moments in that we see through someone else's point of view. So when you have to figure out how to portray a scene that you had kind of done, or a moment that you had done.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was like a choose your own adventure of acting. It was like, because you would revisit a moment, or you'd play a scene a few episodes later that, now you knew what had happened the night before. You're like, oh my God, this is happening tomorrow. We already filmed. I remember we had a moment where we were like, can you believe this is what happened yesterday? So it's like stuff like that just was really fun and delicious, and kind of it just made every episode felt like you were just peeling back like another layer of these characters and changing. Yeah, it was really fun.
So Annie, that was the structure of the book as well. You get to see different points of view. When you were figuring out how to sort of structure these 8 episodes, was that something that you felt like we have to retain that storytelling style?
It was an opportunity. I mean, we were just excited about it, because when you're adapting it, of course, to this visual medium, you get a chance to inhabit that perspective. Visually, we worked with, in addition to attracting amazing actors, we also attracted amazing directors, and really pilot caliber directors that don't really jump in and do episodic work. And it was because of the opportunity to kind of reinvent
Along the way.
as they went, in terms of having a new color palette, having a new pace, having a new way of moving the camera for each character's perspective. In our middle chapter, from Nancy's point of view, we learn that she's a dancer. I'm carefully saying things that are not spoilers. And we actually got an opportunity to create this ballet within the show and work with Leslie Linka-Glatter, who has a background in choreography. Just really fun opportunities like that.
How was it being a dancer?
Well, can I
Former.
say she was? Yeah,
Yes,
she was
yes.
a dancer.
Yeah, was. Yeah.
So I loved playing someone that used to be a great dancer. Really fulfilling.
I'm thinking of one specific shot. Yes, yeah. It's interesting.
I got a good moment. I got a little.
Oh yeah.
You got to dance a little bit. Yeah, that was exciting.
Yeah. One of the things I think that is so wonderful about friendship between women is that sometimes it doesn't really make sense from the outside. It's like women can be rough on each other, and they can betray each other sometimes, and they can also be loyal until the end of the earth, And
That is why we have Bravo. Like that is the entire thesis of reality television.
So
Thank God.
I'm curious, how did you approach, I guess, Annie, I'll start with you, writing this kind of very close friendship that has been, decades, and there's a lot of depth there, and there's a lot of pain there, and there might not be, great friendly moves at times.
Yeah. Well, that was something I was really attracted to in the material, was getting to explore female friendship in a really honest way, both all that nurturing, supportive, intimate stuff, and then the really painful stuff when you're that close to someone, how hard it is when there's a betrayal. You know, we can hurt each other deeply when we love each other deeply. And there's a scene where you guys get into a fight that is one of my favorite moments in the show. I'm not going to say what it's about.
Good.
But you go at it in a way that only people who really love each other
and know each
and
other
and see each other deeply.
It's like we know where the buttons are because some of them we put them there,
and the history between you. And so creating that, right, these guys were able to kind of create that layered history with one another right away. It was really special to watch. I think because you guys have a lot of commonality in your careers and experience, it just felt that way. Like,
I mean, tell us about that. Like, what was, because I feel like there's this thing that has to come through the screen where you can tell, even without the dialogue, that these people know each other, they love each other. And I think about in the first episode when they're all at the bar and Eleanor's got a thing with the chef and whatever, and they're all kind of, and it's there. And I'm curious, did you all get together beforehand? What was that process of bonding?
I like to say that we did not get together. In fact, the only person that agreed to have a coffee with me was Corey.
Was that like a House of Cards reunion?
We're the only ones who are like already good friends.
Exactly, it was like pointless.
they were too busy.
Yeah, everyone's too busy. But the thing that we all have in common, a few things, we've all been acting since we were young.
Yeah.
Like we are all
Plus
moms.
30 years, 30 plus years.
It's a lot. It's a lot to actually bond over.
Yeah. When we tried to get together and we tried to have this coffee, and my response was like very stressed and like, I can't, I'm tired, I want to take a nap. And then, and what was great though was, and I recognized this more later, was the response was just so supportive immediately, and so like, oh, I totally get it, I want a nap too. Like they have 3 kids each, you know what I mean? So it's like, it was so supportive immediately, and I kind of knew from that moment I was in like a very safe place.
where we could be ourselves.
Yeah, for
and also,
sure.
I heard Kate said this the other day. Like, also, it's our job to act, so we just acted like best friends.
Yeah.
Like that's what we do. And then what happened was we became obsessed with each other because we
like
we threw ourselves in. I think chemistry often really comes down to respect, because as actors, when you really respect each other, then there's the room to like play and spark, and we have so much mutual respect and admiration for each other. And also we've all held our own shows. We've all been in the position of having the privilege of being number 1 on the call sheet and carrying a show. And so this was an opportunity to link arms and carry a show together and support each other. And like when it was Nancy's episodes, we were like, we're here for you. What do you need? It's your point of view, but also like you have more lines. You want to run lines? You don't want to run lines? Like we were very supportive of each other in carrying the show together. And that too bonded us. It's interesting. I hadn't thought about this before, but that scene at the bar in episode 1, that was actually a reshoot.
I was gonna say,
and right, and so I think the first time we shot it was brilliant, but but we wound up wanting something different with the location, and so we wound up shooting it as one of the very last scenes of the series. And so this first moment where you see us being friends, we actually had the series to kind of become closer. So the homework did itself in a way.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really, now when I watch it, I'm like, oh, you see the bonding that happened over these 8 episodes in that scene now.
Yeah. Corey, you also have, without spoiling anything, you and Joel Kinnaman also, I mean, you both have scenes with each of these women. So you have to develop like these very different connections.
Who do you like the most?
That was my next question. Yeah.
I've known you longest.
Such a good question. You can answer it later.
I mean, how is it? When do you know, like, when you've got it? When like the chemistry is there?
it really was pretty much immediate with all three of them. It was without sounding too much like somebody who's trying to be really a good feminist.
What is that again?
What is it? Yeah.
This is actually the second show I've done in a row where it's all women producers, writers, directors, and stars, and it's better. Like I like it's.
Wow.
I mean, there's just a collaborative nature. There's something. I think there was a sense of gratitude to be in a place where there's this mutual respect, and I felt so comfortable. And yeah, I mean, and it was written well enough so that the chemistry was obvious, and the differentiation between how I react with each woman was just on the page, and I just had to play the scene in front of me. I didn't have to chart it out and figure out a whole arc. It was very clear.
Speaking of charting it out, for your characters, was there something in particular in the book, like a line or a description that you latched onto of like, this is my North Star with this character, or even not in the book, just something else that you thought of?
I mean, I think just with Mary, it wasn't necessarily a line. It was just the idea that she was in Eleanor and in Nancy's stories was sort of on the outside. She was kind of, as a stay-at-home mom, she didn't have maybe as glamorous of a life, or didn't have maybe the same clothes, or didn't have the same fun sometimes. And it felt, no offense, and she felt like, but it felt like then when you got to her story, you got to see this like beautiful, interesting, talented, fun person who was creating this life for her family and who was prioritizing that, and that was such a beautiful thing. And I was just very attracted to that idea of seeing that woman who you pass by in the grocery store and they might feel invisible to you, or they may not feel seen, and then getting to kind of see how interesting that person actually is. I really liked that idea.
I was just thinking how funny it is that actually my character Nancy is also a stay-at-home mom, basically. But
yeah, that's true.
But we forget that because they're very different.
They're so different about it.
Because of the privilege. I think a lot of it's because of because you're out on boards and committees and doing fancy things and
But she doesn't pride herself in that, I feel like, as much.
Not at all.
It's not her identity.
That's what I wanted to say. I didn't want to offend you, but yes, exactly.
Well, we learned
really not a high
little
priority.
bit about why that she didn't have a great relationship with her own
Yeah.
mother. So
Yeah.
she kind of stopped at one.
Yeah.
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 I think I was really interested and really grateful that Lizzie came to me for the role of Eleanor, because I found also that something we don't talk about a lot in female friendships, which is something that has come up for me in my life, is how, you're all the same in college in terms of, generally, there's a level of like, everybody has the same student account at the dining hall, right? But then as you get older and you have careers and you get married and the socioeconomics of it begin to shift, and how friendships navigate those differences in class is really important. And I thought it was really interesting and an extraordinary opportunity that Lizzie came to me to play this woman who comes from a family of generational wealth, because we don't often get that opportunity as artists of color to dive into that identity. And so for me to really explore, and the writer's room did such a beautiful job exploring, like, what does it mean to be a Black woman who comes from generational wealth and who is trying to separate herself from her family, where she has chosen this life of service and kind of hides. It's not even quiet luxury. It's like high-low and funky clothes because she just doesn't want people to know, but that this is where she comes from. So that for me was one of the really interesting things that I kept going back to the book for, because it was such a clear part of how Eleanor exists in the book.
Yeah.
Even though she's not Black in the book. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Corey?
It's really impossible to say without spoilers.
Fair.
Yeah. I'll let it be. I'll let that.
Annie, there's a lot
There's a lot. There's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I found Leslie Linka Glatter, who directed the first
First one and then 4
and 5.
Yeah. So I had worked with her before, and we had a great time. And she was the one who reached out when the offer came in, and she was a real touchstone for me. Like it was really helpful to have somebody she's so enthusiastic, and she was a dancer, and I don't think she was ever really an actor, but she understands sort of embodying a role like that, and I felt like I could really lean on her to sort of feel like I was in the right ballpark.
In this cast, every single person was our first and only choice. So Corey was the same. Every single person was the first one we wanted, and we didn't have backups. It was that strong feeling of like, I don't know who else does it if she says no or he says no.
Yeah, I mean, the cast is insane. It's wonderful. Like, every single person is exceptional. I don't even want to say some of the people who will see it.
Yeah, it's so exciting. It's really, and we, we joke, Leslie Odom Jr. and I were joking that because we've known each other and loved each other for a really long time, and we're playing brother and sister, and so we were saying, like, in some ways it felt like Donovan and Eleanor were borrowing from Kerry and Leslie, right? Like borrowing the friendship, but then it went deeper and like just to like places that I wasn't expecting. It's just so cool.
What's the best piece of advice you ever got about whether or not to take a role?
Oh, okay.
I was just thinking, as Corey said about like Leslie, and that was,
that was a good question. Best piece of advice.
I read something, Cicely Tyson wrote about this in her memoir, and I was so excited when I read it because it was the closest thing I'd ever heard to my experience of when it's a definite yes. Like sometimes it's I don't know, but Cicely Tyson, God bless her, talked about how like sometimes she would read a script and it was like it already lived inside her. Like she didn't have to think about saying the lines. She already could hear exactly, and like as she was reading it, she almost knew what the next word was going to be. There was like a synergy of it already lived inside her. And I've had that a handful of times in my career. And it's usually right when I'm ready to quit, right? When I'm like, I'm so done with this acting bullshit. And then I read a script and I'm like, ooh, this is me. Yeah.
God, I've had that. That's so
Isn't it weird? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Anyone else have like a go-to?
No, I think I need some advice.
You're doing well.
You're doing just fine.
You're making really good choices.
Doing all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two kinds of relationships to it. There's that kind of role that's like, oh my God, I have to play this. I can play this.
Yeah.
And then there's those roles that you have no idea how you could play them. It's scary, and sometimes that terror is a good sign that you could do it.
It's true.
Yeah.
And this, for me, Howard was a little bit of both. There were some things that were like, just like a glove that fit really well, and sometimes I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make this this 90-degree turn.
Yeah.
Or not.
I think the same, not with a part, but when take on a project, first of all, for all of us, I think you're always now weighing it against time with your family.
Yeah.
It just, everything takes on another level of import when you take something on, because it's so immersive for all of us. But for me, I feel the same way, that it feels like something that, how am I going to like stretch a little for this? Like I'm right for it, but I'm also like, I've a little bit not done it before, so that I'm going to grow.
Yeah.
The fear factor is always really attractive, I think.
Yeah.
We're so crazy. We're just such crazy.
Why?
But it's true, because we're drawn to that, like, oh, this is scary. I want to do it. Like, it's so crazy. It's so wild.
I know.
Annie, what was the thing that scared you about taking this on? And what were I'm curious about what the conversations were in the writer's room about, this is the kind of story we want to tell about friendship, because it's not always an easy thing to write and to convey.
For me, it was the genre of a thriller. You know, I've worked in kind of adjacent to it, but I think I always put a little spin on the ball. Like comedy is a little bit of a shield for me. So to really take on a thriller in a really sincere way just felt like kind of a scary challenge. And then I'm really lucky because I get to bring in a bunch of writers to help me who've done it before. And then, yeah, what was the other part? I forget the other part of the question. I mean, that was really it for me.
Yeah.
To really dive into a thriller.
And then just, I was curious about like writing, I guess, thinking about writing friendship, about friendship between women. What was how did you approach that? What was the story you wanted to tell?
Well, I mean, on a personal note, you know, when I read the book, I was really reminded of, I had lost a really good friend of mine a few years earlier, and I remembered this feeling of walking around like nobody gets it. And I remember someone saying, so you guys were just friends? There was this just there. And I thought, God, no one understands that this is like how devastated I am. And I think it's because friendship doesn't always have that status of other kinds of relationships. People think of it, well, it's not family, it's not your romantic partner, like, get over it. But it was really hard to get over. And that feeling of the loss of all that shared history, you know, the stories and the jokes that like I didn't have the other half of anymore. And just this was this opportunity, talk about something already being inside you that I had already really wanted to express. And the story really gave space for that.
I love that. I'm also curious for the women, if sometimes I feel like, and I know we all watch a lot of TV, and it feels like if a character is a woman, does bad things, she also has to be super likable. Like there has to be sort of a balance. She can do like one bad thing, but then, you know, we're gonna pull her back into likability territory. And for all three of these people, of these women, do things that are not necessarily in the likable, you know, column. And does it feel liberating to get to play characters like that and not have to necessarily like as be forced back into that likability category?
I don't think any of us have worried about that in our, like, I mean, I don't, it's just not been
We've
something.
played very unlikable
Yeah,
people.
like
all of us who
been attracted to that.
Yes,
you
that
know?
we've all done very questionable
Yes.
things on screen.
And
Somebody actually just recently asked my mom, like, is it strange that she makes all these bad choices in her character? And my mother was like, better and pretend.
yeah, for sure. Get it out. Don't do it in real life.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's what we want. I mean, we want that complexity. We want that. I mean, I think the thing is none of us would ever think of it as likable or unlikable. That isn't helpful as an actor at all. You know, you just don't even go there because it doesn't get you anything in your performance anyway. It doesn't help you figure any of it out. So we don't even look at it like that, I think, not to speak for all of us, but I think that it's something that, you know, doing things that are questionable, if there's one way of putting it, but doing things that are human is another way of putting it, and that is something that we love playing. And the more complicated and the more things you can play at the same time, the better, you know?
Yeah.
Who wants to play a perfect person?
Boring. But I think also, and Annie, you can speak to this, but also with great writing, your job as an actor is so much easier because our job is to understand the why. Like, we may do questionable things, but as long as I understand where it's coming from for my character, why my character thinks it's a good choice, even if other people may not, my character believes that it's the right choice, and I gotta get behind that and really embody that. And that's so much in the writing, and so we had that. I was also joking earlier that, like, the great thing about having a show with 3 protagonists is that you can hate one and there's still 2 other girls on the poster to be like, all right, I like them.
Yep.
Did you feel protective of your character? I mean, now that it's out, like, I feel like people are gonna, at any given moment, people are gonna, I mean, I think, Annie, you said, like, people are gonna love you or can't stand you or
Bring it on.
all
Bring
four
it.
of
Like,
you.
we want. Kerry asked me before we started, as a producer, she was like, "What do you want people to get out of this, and what do you want out of this show? Like, do you want this kind of success? Do you want that kind of success? Like, what do you want?" And I said, I want people to enjoy it, and I want you to change your mind in every episode, and I want you to think, like you said, I love that person. Oh no, now I don't like them anymore. You know, I want you to think, oh, he's that. Oh wait, that's interesting. That's why he did that. Oh, that makes sense now. And I want you to guess who did it, and I want you to guess who's sleeping with who, and who's murdering who, and it's just, that's what I want. I want people to have fun with it. So the more we like change your mind, and the more you're like not sure whether or not you like that person, the better.
Annie, how much fun was it sort of writing these episodes so that at the end of any given episode, you're like, oh, wait, I think I figured this out. And then, you know, in the first 5 minutes of the next one, it's like, oh, I was completely wrong.
Yeah, we're excited that we get to roll it out week by week. I think it's a really fun way to tell the story, and it gives you that opportunity to kind of, you know, leave them hanging and expecting a certain thing, and then we can undermine those expectations when we come back the next week. I really like TV rolling out that way. No shade to the bingers, but you know.
But you do have 2 in week 1, so you do get to go home and watch at least 1 more.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the show filming in Los Angeles, since, I mean, anytime there's an adaptation of a book, there are going to be changes, and we can talk about that too. But even just the setting, as fundamental as the setting, which feels like such an integral part of this series. Tell me about that decision.
Well, Kerry was really the driver behind bringing it to LA. You know, we had initially talked about, of course, an American adaptation of it, and
The novel is set in the UK.
So I, you know, came up with the really creative idea of setting it in New England. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's just right off the dome, I thought of it. And then when Kerry came aboard, she really wanted to bring it to LA, and I mean, she can talk about.
Yeah, I guess it came from a place of feeling like there's been so much runaway production in this country, and in the city of Los Angeles in particular. But you know, last year I shot a film in the UK that was set in upstate New York, and I was like, this is nuts. So, but I understood it. But you know, there's so many artists and artisans in Los Angeles who are either missing out on work because things are shooting in other countries or other cities, or getting that work but having to leave their families. And so it was like, I wanted to try to see if we could bring more work, like keep this work in the country, which we were going to do, but then also like bring it specifically to Los Angeles for me and my family, and for all of the crew and their families. And so you guys were open to it, which I was really grateful for, and our crew was really grateful. You know, the city's been hit really hard with a whole bunch of strikes, and then we didn't know this was going to happen, but we wound up going into production like 2 weeks after the fires. And so there were so many people who really, really needed that work, and the city itself really needed that work. So it was great to be able to do that.
That must have been really meaningful for the people.
Yeah, even our director, Leslie Linka Glatter, had lost her house, lost everything. What did she say to you in your first meeting?
Oh yeah, she said, my house burned down, my notes were in it, so I'm gonna take a day to put them back together. Can we Zoom one day later? I mean, that's the kind of person she is.
Yeah.
She is just
And you said no.
resilient. Just, you know, the extraordinary resilience of our, you know, film and TV community.
She's so loved
awesome.
too, doing the press run with her. She has all these gorgeous suits, and it's because so many people love her and jumped in after the fire. So I'll be like, oh, Leslie, I love that suit. She's like, it's from Ava DuVernay. And I'm like, I love that suit. She's like, Jamie Lee Curtis. It's so funny. It's so great. But people just, you know, we love her.
That's amazing. I love
Most
it.
people tell you a designer. She's like, famous donator.
And it must have been great to be able to go home at the end of a shooting day.
Yeah.
I don't live in LA. I live here, but I also don't live in New England. Thank you. So did these guys.
I also live here now. I moved in the middle of filming.
Yeah, bizarre choice.
What I meant by go home was fly across the country.
It was so much, it was the weirdest
I
choice
liked
ever
going
made.
home, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
No, and also just the opportunity to set it in California was fun for us because I do
Story-wise,
like, you know, dark things in sunny places. It's kind of a fun thing that it's been a subject matter of mine for a long time that I really enjoy.
And also all these, I've heard you say, Annie, all these characters are, a lot of what the show is about the presentation of self versus who you really are. And LA is a place where people really go to reinvent themselves. So there was a part of the identity of the city that lent itself to the story really well too.
As far as both of you producing, were there specific things when you started that you thought, okay, this is the thing I want to make sure, this is what I'm gonna fight for with this production, this is my deal breaker, or like, what were your...
I'm laughing because I'm like, for both of us, it would be like, here's the list. It would be like, number one. It was like, we're so in it.
Panel's not long.
We're so in it. That's one of the things I love about producing with Lizzie is we're the same kind of like in the trenches producer. So the producing starts from listing out cast and hiring the writer's room and hiring department heads, and it goes all the way through post-production. Every stage, through past post-production, into marketing, and like we are very involved.
Very early on, it was a real pleasure to learn that Kerry was a real producer. I had heard that, you check up on people and you make sure you're getting into bed with the right people. And, so I had heard I knew her company was doing incredible work, but you never know, is it like the vanity title? Is it they really actually doing the work? And very early on, I learned that she was a real producer. And I appreciate that so much. I have so much respect for that. She has taught me a lot about, close your ears. She has taught me a lot about being actually I do want you to hear this. She's taught me a lot about being a producer, and I've been doing it for a while, but the way that she will always be her authentic self, that there is the same person that has this conversation with this person over here, with that person is the same person that's gonna go talk to the studio, is gonna go have a conversation, maybe that's a little trickier. And it's the same authentic person that you see on social media, as you see here, as you see, in her family life. And that is something I find really inspiring as a producer and as a professional in this industry.
I would say one of the biggest things, not that you asked us, but one of the biggest things that I learned from Lizzie is that her commitment to excellence is extraordinary. And sometimes I have found, previous to this show, never again, that as an actor, sometimes I would like be apologizing for how good of a producer I am, like, oh, would it be okay? I have a thought about this, and she is like, I know what's fucking good, and I'm gonna fight for it. I was like, yeah, like, and why? I don't have to apologize for being good at this. Like, I've been doing it a long time. Let's just fucking go.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
Indeed.
absolutely. I know Leslie's got a lot of talk on this panel, but Annie, I wanted to ask you, because all of the directors are women on the show, and so many department heads are women on this show. Why was that important to you?
We wanted to work with the best people, and you know what? A lot of them were women. I don't know what to tell you. All of us, we've all been doing this a long time. We've all worked in environments that were sub-ideal conditions for us in various ways. It was really thrilling to lock arms with people with like-minded values and some clout to get it done too, and reach out to the best people for the jobs.
We did have
That's
some
really what it
men
was.
on the crew. We did. We had a few. We had a few.
Yeah.
We didn't want them to feel left out.
Yeah, we did.
But when you develop a relationships with people that you want to continue to work with and build on, and we all got to do that and bring that to this project.
One thing my producing partners, Pilar Savone and I always say is we want to feel good not just about what we're making, but how we're making it. Because you spend so much time at work.
Yeah.
Annie,
what was the hardest storyline for you guys to get right?
Oh man.
Landing the plane,
Yeah.
giving it an ending that was
Always the hardest.
tough, that honored everything we brought to it, but felt surprising as well, because we wanted there to be surprises, so fans of the book know you don't necessarily know exactly where it ends. Just landing the plane in a way that we all felt good about.
This ending is
I would say that was the
wild.
hardest part.
The finale is wild.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's very.
Fucking
really happy with where we went with it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
how do you approach that? I mean, Lizzie, you read the book and then you were like, I want to do this. And then anytime you adapt a book into a series, there are going to be changes. There's just, it's a different.
And then shows come out in the interim that like do a similar thing, and then there's a pivot that has to happen and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your, I guess, approach with the book? How did you sort of like, chisel what we're taking, what we're not? It has to be our story. It has to be something that fits into this 8-episode structure.
Well, Araminta was really generous with us and sort of said, good luck and take what's useful and leave behind what isn't. And so we were really fortunate in that way. And she's a great collaborator. And we were able to just be really intuitive, take the things that we were all in love with and carry them on, and then be creative where we wanted to, And a lot of that is about moving it to a different culture. There were a lot of changes that came up that way. And then it's also just taking a novel and making it into a different kind of storytelling. In a novel, you get all that access to the inner lives of the characters right on the page. And then I think, we talked a lot about, I always want to make things relational, so then you get to create new characters so that you can have that access to the inner life without being, lectured or mansplained too much.
Her writer's room was pretty phenomenal. We have to talk about Kay for a second
Yeah.
and bring her into this. Was another EP and instrumental writer on the project. And how, when you're a showrunner, you have all the duties. You are literally running the show. You are doing everything in every department and making so many decisions. And Kay was instrumental in helping, I think, in making those decisions near the end especially, and just really being an incredible sounding board for, I think, you and all of us. And she's an unsung kind of hero of this show that is we have to talk about. She's an incredibly talented writer and producer.
We love you, Kay.
Hi, Kay. We love you.
Well, what is the thing you want people to be feeling at the end of, after they see that final shot?
It's like, oh shit.
I mean, honestly, that was my reaction. I was like, what?
Yeah.
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 Like,
I feel like I've even asked this before, and I feel like that for me, the takeaway I want to is partly like, holy shit, but also I think that feeling of, women are amazing, women can do anything, but they can't do it alone. Like we need each other. And I think interdependence it's not a weakness, it's really a strength for us. And these women, they only survive by really sticking together. So
Well, not all of us survive.
Not at all.
Well, redemption comes from, being true to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
I want to ask about the wardrobe on this because it's really, I mean, first of all, even just in this episode, Carrie, Eleanor's veil, a funeral veil, A+. That was
Our costume designer, Tiffany Hasborn. She's so talented.
I mean, truly one of the most talented people I've ever worked with in any department.
Because she was able to translate these 3 very different women into their clothing. Like and wardrobe helps so much with understanding who you are, but she's just so talented. She understands the differences between these women and helped us express those differences through our fashion.
And without a money tree, it's
Yes,
just, we all know
that
what
part.
it's like right now, and it's just she was able to design things and bring things to the table that were surprising and take care of all of us as well, and never feel. I mean, she would text me like at 11 p.m. and be like, "I'm at Target, like I'm at I'm at the mall getting you a jacket." Like it was just like she just never. She cares so much and is so passionate about character and story, and just that is the first thing that she's always thinking about. And then she also can make you look fabulous. Like it's truly.
She also just has the best energy. She's
Yeah.
always calm. Nothing is ever an issue. Really like MVP.
Yeah, truly MVP.
Yeah.
Your clothes are so, they really define the character so much.
Yeah,
So good.
She was really, really good about like, well, everything you guys said about just like the specificity of like what we would wear. I mean, from day one, I didn't love this, but I loved it for the character. She was like, you're never going to be in pants. Except one time, like after you've had a baby, which I thought was really generous.
Right.
But it does really, it
Yeah.
changes the way you walk and everything. It changes everything, how you're dressed.
Yeah.
Like so many department heads, just they're storytellers, you know,
Yeah.
they're great collaborators. They're with us telling the story.
Yeah.
And she
these
said right
homes
away.
also, right? Like Carlos,
Yeah.
every single one of our homes tells you so much about who we are.
Yeah.
Corey,
We got
what-
to wear one dress for an entire episode
Love
in
that
a one day.
Love that dress. Everyone
Luckily
else
you
was
liked
really
it.
sick of it, and they were like, "I bet you can't wait to get out of that dress." And I was always like, "Why?"
Take it home.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean, your clothes are great, and Corey, like Howard's are also like
Great.
they're very. It's just it's very
Specific.
specific.
Yeah.
It's like absolutely what like it just tells you so much about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a real, I can say without any spoilers, there's a real sort of journey that that he goes on with his clothes, and that was very much a collaboration. We had, when I first, had my first costume fitting, it was like a 3-hour costume fitting, and then we sort of had a conversation like, that's all wrong. And we just started all over again.
Wow.
And she was, she wasn't freaked out about that, and but she wanted to get it right. And
Yeah.
that was really cool.
Yeah.
What is this title? I mean, I know it's a title of a book, but it also has to be a title that like so perfectly captures the series. So, what does this title mean to you?
What does it mean? I mean, I always thought it was ironic. Like, people sometimes take it seriously, and I'm like, oh no, you're not supposed to take it seriously, because there is no such thing as a perfect anyone, and certainly no such thing as a perfect woman. And that's why when I literally saw it at like one of those airport kiosks, I was like getting my water and my drink, and getting like, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, I was like, oh, it's funny. I was like, I get it, like it's a wink, and because it's just not a thing that exists,
I think that
Perfect women. I mean, imperfect women do exist. Yeah.
I feel like that says so much about your confidence. About your because I feel like there are some people who see the title Imperfect Women and panic a little bit.
That's
And
interesting.
so there's something where you're like, yeah, we're all just great, doing the best we can, right? You're like, of course,
No, I mean that it's like there's no such thing as perfect or imperfect.
Yes,
You know what I
yes,
mean?
yes.
Like it's
but I think a lot of people feel the pressure to reach for
Right.
perfect and see imperfect as a failure.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is we talk about this all the time. You could say imperfect women is just human, right? It just means human. It just means real.
Yeah.
A couple people have accidentally called it, when interviewing us, indecent women.
Oh yeah.
Really?
I love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Which is so fascinating that's the idea that to be less than perfect is unacceptable for a woman.
Is it too late to pivot?
Yeah. Can we change the posters? Because we are indecent.
We'll go around town and just change every single one.
Can there be that great black dress? Now all I'm thinking about is Demi Moore and
Yeah.
Annie. What about for you as you were writing and figuring out how to tell this story?
I think it's about knowing that we're gonna. I think back to friendship and what friendship, deep friendships, are the people who see your imperfections and accept you anyway. So I think that's what actually unites them, is they see each other's imperfections.
Yeah. Last question. We get to see in this first episode these 3 friends dancing. We get to in flash. Yeah.
Kate's favorite.
Loved that.
Kate's favorite scene.
Is it? Okay, well, tell us about. I was going to just ask you what song was playing while you were. But then, Kate, you can also tell us why you hate it.
Well, I think it was the first like scene I was in. I was dead. Well, that's not true. The first thing I shot, I was dead. I was on the morgue, the table, and then the second scene was us just like freestyling. And
You probably were like, why did I say yes?
I was just like, oh, that's hard. It's hard when you haven't said anything to anyone, and you're just supposed to be like, I don't know.
Doing this kind of intimate thing.
Yeah, it feels intimate.
It feels intimate, yeah. And embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. She's a really good dancer, too.
I'm sick of the dance floor.
She's like, and knows it, like, is confident, but it's just about being filmed. It's different if everyone's watching.
I needed like a few more weeks of like, getting to know each other.
Now it'd be a
really
fun
psyched.
scene. What was the song? Was it Stevie Wonder?
Yeah, it was Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Which song?
What was it called?
Isn't she love?
No.
Oh, no.
It was,
Oh, God.
what's it called? The one with...
We need one of our producing partners here.
What?
No, not.
Is that it?
No.
Oh yeah. Always.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good one.
I don't think that's the name of it.
That's
but
not the
I'll be loved.
As.
Thank you. As.
I know.
That's the name?
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Thank you.
Great dancing, great corpsing. I mean, just all around.
Great
Very much.
corpsing.
Imperfect Women, the first two out today, and then weekly on Apple TV. Congratulations to all of you on this series. Thank you all so much, and to the Paley Center for being here. Annie Weisman, Corey Stoll, Kate Mara, Elisabeth Moss, Kerry Washington. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.